I saw somebody sitting up here a few minutes ago, and I wonder if he's around it. There he is. Governor, would you mind joining me for a second? Will you join me in welcoming Governor Kitzhaber to the stage? All right. I was going to wear jeans, but they told me it was inappropriate, so, I'll let it slide. So I've been living in Portland, in Oregon, for 13 years now, and my observation would be that we accomplished more in this state in the last 18 months than we have in the prior decade, and I think a lot of it is to be laid at your feet, sir. So first, as a citizen, I want to offer my thanks.
Thank you.
And on the drive over here this morning, I was listening to the radio, and I heard, something about you, maybe seeking a fourth term, an unprecedented fourth term. Is this true?
Just glutton for punishment. That's exactly right.
I think. I think it's exciting. I think it's really exciting because I think we're at a place where you can really build on the strengths that you've got going. I'd love to hear. We're going to hear from you in depth after lunch. You've been listening for the last hour. Top of brain, like what's coming to mind? What are the themes you're picking out?
So there was a couple things, and thank you very much. And I got a hint that they were going to ask me to do this. So there were actually a couple of very interesting themes that I think you all heard. The first one was innovation, the importance of innovation, and the partnership, the important partnership between industry and education, not just in STEM, which is very, very important. And I think we have about $8 million we've invested into STEM through our target investments in the last budget, but also just having a world-class educational system. And that links to another theme, which was the importance of recruiting talent inside the state. And whether you're an agricultural industry manufacturer like Ericsson, or whether you're Intel, we're having a challenge filling the needed slots in Oregon. So clearly doubling down on our efforts to redesign our workforce system and make sure that there's that connection between the needs of business and industry and what we're turning out of our educational system is critically important. The other thing I heard was that the cluster strategy of the Oregon Business Plan really works. I mean, Sam Blackman, I think, pointed that out. And I think in the case of Tillamook, there's a robust opportunity to develop a new targeted cluster here in the state of Oregon. I was fascinated by Sam Blackman's new approach to tax stability and predictability. Sounds a lot easier than revamping the whole tax system, so maybe we'll go down that road. I just want to make one final comment. The business plan is just a tremendous blueprint. We all know that many parts of rural Oregon are lagging behind, and I think there's two things that I just would like to call out here. One of them is the idea of developing a food cluster. We have a huge opportunity here. The 3 Mile Canyon farm out in Boardman, which we helped get started about 8, 9, 10 years ago, its dairy operation was one of the reasons that Tillamook was able to actually stay in Oregon and actually expand. And I was with Marty Myers over in Asia. We actually ran into Tillamook cheese on the shelves of a supermarket in Hong Kong. But we met with a huge Japanese food processing company about expanding market opportunities. So there's an area where we could really help rural Oregon if we sort of elevate that within our business plan strategy. The other one I just want to touch on is the timber supply issue. And I think the comment that we can't manage our forests just along ownership boundaries is very profound. We've got 30 million acres of forested land in Oregon. About 18 million of those are federal forest lands. About 800,000 acres are state, and about 10 are private industrial. Now, here's what's wrong with the picture. We get 10% of our yield off 800,000 acres of state land, 10%. We get 12% off 18 million acres of federal land, and 75% off our private lands, which are operating really at a sustainable level. They can't go any higher. So I'm just suggesting that in addition to the agricultural strategy and dealing with the workforce and the innovation issues we talked about, we need to, I think, be much more intentional in trying to develop a forest forest and land management strategy that isn't hindered by artificial boundaries, but tries to look at the whole landscape and figure out. I just can't imagine we can't figure out a way to do this. So again, thank you very much for the chance to make a few comments, and it's good to be here again.
Great. Yeah. Thank you, sir. So we'll get to hear in depth from the governor after lunch, and John Carter is going to be interviewing him. So I look for that to be a really robust conversation.